How's it going? I'm Samuel Heston. I am the safety tech who will talk to you today about a major chemical hazard and how to prevent exposure to it on the job site and what to do about it if you detect it. I will discuss the chemical agent formaldehyde. Okay, so first off, chemical hazards are when substances cause harm because of their chemical properties. Plants and work sites can present many chemical hazards: skin burns, environmental damage, fire, explosions, exposure to toxic substances. This can have serious effect on people and the environment also. So every day we should be mindful and knowledgeable about these hazards and know how to prevent dangerous and fatal exposures, but also know how much would cause these detrimental effects. So, formaldehyde. What exactly is formaldehyde and what is it what is it about that could be hazardous? So, one, which is very important, it's colorless. It's a pungent gas used in a wide range of products that is very common in industrial areas and plants. It is a very hazardous chemical. It is a common natural gas, LNG plants most likely. Natural gas doesn't directly contain it, but is it a byproduct of combustion processes, LNG production, and gas turbines, which may cause it to be released into the air. Okay, so where can it be found? Where can you be exposed to it? We can all be exposed to it because it is most likely in your house and in your yard. It is in a lot of household products such as plywood and particle board and foam insulation. Women are at risk daily because it is in cosmetics. These are used by most people weekly, if not daily. Formaldehyde is used a lot in industrial settings, which covers a great deal of work for many employees from the agricultural to construction and manufacturing in general. Another very big place where it's commonly used at is funeral homes. And if you like this kind of thing, it can be found in embalming fluid to embalm the bodies, but it only matters if you are the embalmer. So most likely we're all safe. All right, physical and health responses in the body. Formaldehyde can cause a bunch of serious health effects. Some of the short-term effects, even with low concentrations, include eyes, nose, throat, and skin irritation, respiratory problems, coughing, wheezing, tightness in the chest, and even difficulty breathing. Other symptoms include headaches, nausea, and vomiting. Now, some of the long-term effects include, the respiratory problems include chronic exposure can cause asthma-like symptoms. Skin problems can cause eczema and allergic skin reactions, and also including cancer. Formaldehyde is known as a human carcinogen and is linked to increased risk of nasopharyngeal cancer, leukemia, and other cancers. This is why it is classified as a carcinogen by the Environmental Protective Agency and OSHA. So here are the exposure limits for TLV, REL, and the TLV. So the threshold limit value is zero point 0.3 ppm, parts per million, and cannot exceed at any time. Exposure should not exceed this amount, not even for a short period of time. OSHA sets a PEL, which is a permissible exposure limit at job sites and in the workplace. The time-weighted average is 0.75 parts per million for an 8-hour workday. Short-term exposure limit is 2 parts per million for up to 15 minutes. One should not exceed any of this, even for a short period of time. This means that employees exposed to formaldehyde in the workplace should not be exposed to concentrations anywhere above these limits, legally. Additionally, the National Institute of Occupational Safety and Health recommends a 0.016 part per million time-weighted average over 10 hours and a 0.1 part per million short-term exposure limit. All right, now here are some of the safety precautions to consider. When you are around or using formaldehyde, you have to make sure that there's an adequate ventilation to minimize vapors. The PPE requirement is just safety goggles, any eye protection to prevent splashing, skin protection like gloves, they could be nitrile or neoprene gloves, lab coat, long pants, anything to prevent any exposure to the skin, and a respirator, especially if ventilation is not adequate. The exposure limits follow established exposure limits by OSHA and other standards. Now, for handling exposure, for handling and storage, proper labeling, label correctly or read labels and hazards on labels. Safe storage, well-ventilated areas away from heat and sunlight. Keep containers closed when not in use. One, to avoid ignition sources because it's highly flammable. And avoid eating, drinking, and smoking, which is pretty self-explanatory. Wash your hands thoroughly. Follow all local and federal regulations related to formaldehyde handling and disposal. Emergency response. Know the plan for addressing any spills and exposure. Know what to do when exposed and try to get it done quickly as possible. All right, the emergency procedures. If exposed to the eye, if it splashes into the eye, immediately flush the eyes with large amounts of water for at least 15 minutes. Skin exposure. If it comes into contact with the skin, remove contaminated clothing and wash the affected area with soap and water for at least 15 minutes. If you inhale the formaldehyde vapors, move to fresh air and seek medical attention if symptoms persist. You should do it anyway. Spills. For minor spills, contain the spill and then clean it up quickly using absorbent materials such as kitty litter or clay. For large spills, follow the procedure for your facility, which may involve evacuation and specialized cleanup. Now, to end this presentation, I'm going to start by saying formaldehyde is a very common chemical with various uses in-house or in the plants, but they can have serious potential health effects. While it can be irritating at high concentrations and is linked to increased risk of certain cancers, it's also a naturally occurring compound and can be found in many everyday products. By understanding its properties and taking steps to minimize exposure, individuals can reduce the risk associated from formaldehyde. Thank you.